So, my speech is about moving during early middle school, teenage years, and how it can affect or shape who you are when you're an adult. So I'm just going to start off by saying my name. My name is Savannah. I am a sophomore at Waubonsie, and I am pursuing my nursing degree. Moving during early teenage years is a time where you develop the most. You build close friendships. You start to know what you kind of want to do in life. What do you want out of life, or what do you think you want? You start developing more emotions. You start forming friendships that either will last until your adulthood or may end, and you start to gain a sense of identity. I was in 7th grade, and I was 12 years old. At that time, I lived in a small town. I was one out of 5 blacks in my whole entire grade. And I'm a darker complexion African American girl. I would say at that time, I always knew I was darker than most of my population, but it never sensed to bother me. I had been picked on maybe once or twice about my skin color, but nothing to what I would experience when I moved. I liked country music. I liked playing in the woods and finding toads and snakes and going to the lake with my friends. And what I thought was normal, for my age. I didn't really see color or see how color or race played a big part into your identity or where you're from. At this time, it was just me, my mom, my dad, and my little sister, and my brother was a baby. And our family was happy. We were happy. And that was really big for us. I felt like we had just got to a place where everything was going well until the fire happened. I'm gonna try not to get emotional during this talk when I talk about the fire, because I feel like it transitioned a lot in my life, and if it never happened, I don't think I would be exactly who I am today, because I wouldn't have had to move. It was about 8 p.m. and we were in my mom and dad's room watching a movie, and I smelled smoke. I remember going to my room because I thought I left something in there, and I seen my whole entire dresser on fire. And I kind of just froze, but the door was kind of just open, and I just remember calling my dad and just being in shock, because I know for weeks my mom had been complaining to our landlord about there being some type of electrical issue, but nobody came out to see anything because we lived in an apartment complex at the time. And it just felt like so surreal. It took maybe 15 to 20 minutes. Everything that my parents had worked so hard for was gone. It was just gone, and I couldn't believe it. I was so young, but it affected me so much, because now it's like to go from, we weren't rich, but we had what we needed. There wasn't nothing that we really wanted for. And to go to having to go to thrift stores to try to get some stuff for the week, and having to buy a whole new wardrobe and new everything, and it was a lot. it was like starting from nothing, kind of like how people who get affected from being homeless feel when they lose everything and they have to start over. You're broken in a sense. So when this happened, we moved in with my aunt, Loretta, who is also a big part of my life. Me, my mom, and my sister, my brother, my aunt, her 2 sons, my grandpa, and his other daughter all lived in a small 2-bedroom apartment. The fire did so much damage that it even caused my parents to split for a while so they could try to do what was best for us, because we had nowhere to go. And they felt it would be too much for my dad to move in as well. When they split up, I was angry for a long time, and it made me feel a sense of rebellion in life. I was mad at the whole entire world because I went from having a good life to a whole entire different meaning to life. It was crowded. We slept mostly on air mattresses or on the couch in my aunt's living room. My cousins and my grandpa shared a room, and my aunt and whoever else could fit in her room would sleep in her room. I went from being able to have my own personal space to no personal space. By this time, I'm 13, and I'm starting at a new school where you now have to wear uniforms so they're able to identify you from children who do not go to the school based off of past gang violence in the area. It was so hard making friends that first year because I was so different from everyone there. All the black kids were so mean, saying I was so proper, or I thought I was white, or I just talked like somebody I wasn't, as if I was pretending. All the white kids, they were so quiet and just felt like I just didn't fit in with them either. And honestly, the most accepting race at the time to me were all the Hispanic population, and that's probably why most of my friends are Hispanic to this day. You know, they didn't say much, but I went from eating my lunch alone in the bathroom, waiting for the period to be over, to now having a group of people to sit with. And we didn't say much, but, you know, they would always, you know, say little things here and there, and smile, and tell me where my classes are. And they were just so welcoming at that time. I went through a phase where I was trying to make a change to myself to see if that would make a difference. I remember one day on my way to class, there was a group of boys laughing, and I asked them what was funny, and they just said, "Nothing, Taylor Swift." And from that day forward, I don't think I ever was the same. It hurt me in a different type of way. I wanted to change physically and mentally and be stronger than I was. I started to develop a mental and a physical disguise. I began getting tattoos at the age of 14. I started getting hair extensions. I started wearing tighter clothes. I started wearing makeup almost daily. My dad, when I seen him, I'll never forget, he said that I wasn't his little girl no more. I was becoming hard to recognize. He was so upset about the tattoo. It probably took him 3 years to get over it. You know, in that age, as you're becoming a young adult and you're becoming a teenager, you're finding yourself, and I feel like I was losing myself at the same time and finding a alter identity. It took me until I was about 20 years old to realize that I could be both, you know, I could be myself, not this who I thought people thought I should be. I could be the small country town black girl, and I could also be my new self. It could be one instead of a forced identity. At that time, I felt like I couldn't do both. I couldn't like country music and also hang with the black kids who liked R&B, or I couldn't hang out with the black kids and also hang out with the white kids. It was just, everything there just seemed so separate. Where I was from, I was so used to everyone being united and hanging together in the small town, to where I am now. The white kids didn't want to sit with the black kids, or the Mexicans weren't with them, or weren't with them. It was hard. When you put on a disguise like that, I feel like it makes you go through a sense of depression. I was never truly happy with myself until I became an adult and I started to realize everything I went through is what shaped